everybody. What's happening Thursday afternoon or evening? Time for another episode of Thrifty Business. How the heck is everybody? I'm your one host, Vegas J. How are you? With me, as always, is Debbie.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're not all floating
there. What's going on there, Debs?
I moved into my office, but it's not presentable to the public yet, so I have a screen up.
So you hit it. All right.
I did.
Let's get right to our first segment, and I'm very excited about this. Time for Jay's Tiki Talk. Each week, I drink a different rum out of a different tiki mug, and I try and match it up to our guest. And I'm excited about tonight. So let's introduce our guest first. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dominic Corona.
Hi, Dominic.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. Honored to be here. I appreciate it.
We're happy to have you.
All right. So Dominic is a comic book reader and seller, so that's why I wore this shirt. But what's your normal full-time job?
I am a board-certified neuropsychologist.
Wow.
All right. So my wife and I were brainstorming what tiki mug to use. Had to be the one with the brain in it.
Oh, my God. That's awesome.
And the brain, well, here's what's cool about this mug is the brain is removable. And you can put a secondary drink in the brain so you can have two cocktails.
Wow.
Awesome.
You get to drink right from the ventricles. It's amazing.
Oh,
now, are you mixing that with cerebral spinal fluid? Because that's what would normally be in there.
I am. And it makes it extra yummy. And I'm drinking Colonial rum tonight. It's from New York State. So I thought that'd be perfect because that's where you're at. So
wow.
There we go.
The best one yet. Well, mine's kind of a little boring, but I have a Frankie's Tiki mug. You probably know which one it is, Jason.
Yeah, it's the Capuia.
Yeah, I can't even say that, but always take the spirit out before you drink. And I have some Plantation 5-year rum. Yeah.
Nice.
With Martinelli sparkling cider. So cheers.
Are you joining us tonight, Dominic?
I should have, but I've totally forgot. I was getting all the comics ready, so I only have water here. I'm so boring right now. Sorry.
All right. Well, enjoy your water and sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We'll see you in about 25 minutes.
All right.
Oh, I love that tiki mug.
Isn't that cool?
I've never even seen that one.
I have yet to make. I got to use it one day where I have two cocktails in, a top and a bottom, and then have both. So that's my goal, is to actually use it into its fullest. All right, let's get right to it, shall we? Time for our scores of the week. Debbie and I share with you the cool stuff we sold. These are bolos. Be on the lookouts. Things that you should be looking for. And hey, a tiki mug. Look at that.
Yeah, Jason's always teaching us to drink for free. So we sold 2 of these to the same guy. We paid $30 and sold them for $54.99. So it's not as much profit as I'm used to getting from tiki mugs, but we'll take it. And one guy bought 2 of them. So pretty cool.
Yeah. Plus, it's it's a Christmas one, so you just sold the Christmas one. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Gotta like that. Oops.
Yep.
There we go.
Always look for tiki mugs. Okay, this may not look like a score because it's $15, but one buyer bought 4 of these. So that's $60.
For the same book?
Yeah, no. They're different volumes.
Okay. What you need the same book for? 4 times.
They wanted 4 specific volumes, and I gave her a little bit of a reduced on the price, and we pay shipping. But what I wanted to show this was, when you get this set of encyclopedias I picked up is missing 2 volumes. So I could have sold the whole set for maybe, let's see, $180 plus shipping. That's kind of what they're going for, but that's a complete set. So I might have got 140. So instead, for the first time, I decided to split them up and sell them individually. We've sold 9 of them already for a total of $145. We've paid the shipping. So out of that $145, we paid $22.29. We have 11 more volumes left. So when we're all done, we should be selling all of it for $314 plus, we're taking out our shipping costs. That's what a new set sells for. So, and I don't have to lug 2 heavy boxes of encyclopedias to the post office. And my husband said, somebody asked in your awesome thrifting board group the other day if encyclopedias still sell. It's a 2015 volume set, so it's not too old. Okay. But yes, they do sell. So we're happy to try it this way. We have another set too. We're going to split up and do like this.
I don't normally interrupt in the middle of scores, but I wanted to share this with you because this doesn't happen too often. I have the Weather Channel alert set up on my phone.
Why?
It just popped up. Snow will begin at 5:21.
Oh,
And in case you're tuning in for the first time, I live in Las Vegas, and it's been snowing for 2 straight days.
well, when it starts coming down, can you turn your camera to your window so we can actually see it?
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. All right,
Wow.
back to Debbie's scores.
Okay.
You can do it. There we go.
Another Easton Press. You know, my user ID is the book kiosk, so of course we sell books. I pay about $1.99, $2.99 for these. This one sold for $45. They're easy to find because the edges are gold gilt and the covers are leather, and they smell good and they're beautiful. So keep an eye
They
out.
smell good?
Yes, smell like leather, unless they've been in someone's basement. This is funny. 14 paperbacks, Calvin and Hobbes, $58. I mean, these have been around forever. So if you're at a garage sale or state sale thrift store and you can get these for like $1 each, like I did for these, they're worth selling. But the funny thing is I was rearranging our profit pile / storage area, and I made new space on a bookshelf. So I picked up these books, put them on that shelf. 3 hours later, they sold. So remember our rule. If you touch it, it's going to sell.
There you go. Whoop. All right, my first score is this vintage Dallas Cowboys Tasmanian Devil sweatshirt. I've had it up for a couple years, but I got $30 and it's off to New Zealand. So
Nice.
Although we're not up to the Where in the World segment yet, I wanted to profile another awesome international sale.
And that's where he belongs, the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, true. And sold this beater lack blanket now, not as much as other beater lacks, and this one's the rare kind of full color, but it's not real big. 56 by 77 is a full-size bed, so people are typically looking for the queen sets and definitely the king sets. So this took a while to sell, but I only paid $5, so I still got $37.49 plus $20 shipping.
Nice.
And off it goes.
Really nice photo too. It's hard to photograph those.
Yeah, thank you. And Stacy picked up these. We were at a garage sale in Nowheresville, Eastern Ohio, right on the border of Pennsylvania. We got a garage sale, and we paid $1 each. And I sold 2 this week, and I've sold some others in the past. But the gold collection from Dimensions got $48.59 on a $1 investment. Whoop!
Nice job, Stacy.
And last but not least, Stacy's been cleaning her closet.
Ooh.
And this was a replica of the Tiki Room host dress that Disney put out about 10 or 12 years ago. And they cut their clothing on the bigger side. So although Stacy normally wears a medium, this was too big for her. And so we had it listed, as you can see, for $400, but I ran a sale and got a nice $200 on it. So from hanging in the closet for years to $200.
Nice.
I will take it.
That's gorgeous.
All right, so now it's time for my CD scores of the week. Each week I show you the different awesome CD scores I have. Usually I show you 1 or 2. Today I'm showing you 4. And the reason I'm showing you 4 is because they all shipped out this morning. And so here are the 4 CDs that I sold this morning. Wizard of Oz, I paid $4, sold it for $25. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I paid $2, sold it for $55. Peter Sings, paid $2, sold it for $13. And Bob Newirth, whoever that is, paid $4 and sold it for $25.
Wow.
That should have said $2. Whoops. That should have said 2. Because I spent a whopping 10. Boy, my graphics are messed up tonight. Should have said I spent $10 and I sold for $110. These were all easy CDs to pick up. The top 2 were actually at record stores. The bottom 2 were at thrift stores. And
wow.
They all went out today. And so more than 10 times my money. And
you are definitely the CD whisperer.
Oh, absolutely. And, record stores don't always know what they have. Thrift stores is always kind of a crapshoot. But I teach you all that from my webinar called flippincds.com. If you haven't taken it yet, head over to flippincds.com, download the webinar. It is 2.5 hours of amazing content that will explode your brain on everything CDs.
Absolutely.
So the way our guest tonight knows comic books is the way I know CDs. But if you have not seen it yet and you are not a member of the Secret Beach, let's give one away. So please do me a favor. Do not participate. If you have already seen it, it's not a new webinar. It's the same webinar I did about 4 weeks ago. And excuse me, if you're part of the Secret Beach, you can already watch it at your leisure. So if you've not seen it yet and you're not part of the Secret Beach and you want to win it, here is the question. Are you ready?
You didn't run this one by me, so I could have a chance to answer.
I did not.
I never know the answers.
See who pays attention to things like this. Name 3 members of the 27 Club. And the first person to put the correct answer in the chat will be our winner. Debbie, without saying anything, do you know what the 27 Club is?
No, I was going to ask. I know what Club 33 at Disneyland is.
Yeah, not even remotely the same.
It must be a band, I'm assuming.
No.
Oh, wow.
And there's many members of the 27 Club. So all I want is 3 of them.
Wow. This has go ahead. This has to do with music?
Yeah, Tina knows, but she's already seen it. All right, so Robert Fonner is our winner. It's a club you don't want to be in because these are all rock artists who died at 27.
Oh no, how sad.
Yes. So here, there's a ton, but here's the main kind of 6. So Robert, hit me up on Facebook. Let me know that you're the winner tonight, Robert Fonner, and I will get you the download for free. So yeah, definitely not as cool as Club 33.
Congratulations, Robert. Now, didn't somebody else they're not in the club. They're in a different 7 club.
Yeah, I think was he 77?
Yes.
Yeah, Peter Tork from the Monkees died today. So, yeah, anytime anyone famous dies, especially in music, the way people mourn in 2019 is they go online and they download music, or they buy a CD, or they buy an old poster, or a concert T-shirt, or a tour program. So if you've got those things when someone dies, that's the time to list it.
Yep.
For those of you who didn't win, if you haven't seen it yet, head on over to flippincds.com. I know it's 2019. You can stream, download, and rip any music you want, but every week you see me sell these great CDs. And I was glancing through my last weeks of sales of CDs, and there wasn't any $100 CDs, but there was all these $30 to $50 CDs. And man, those add up quick. So
yes, they do, especially for what you paid for them. You know, you're not paying $20 and selling them for $30.
No, I mean, even the ones that buy at the record stores, I'm paying. I paid $2 for Wizard of Oz and $4 for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. So,
and CDs are everywhere. Church rummage sales, library book sales. I see them there. Thrift stores, estate sales. They're not hard to find. Not easy to find the higher selling ones, but they're out there.
And I'm seeing the people who took the course have great success. We even have a special Facebook group just for those of you who have taken the webinar, and all kinds of great content on there too. So head over to flippingcds.com and get your webinar now. All right, but not everything's the winner, is it, Deb?
No, I wish.
Time for our duds of the week. Do not let our mistakes be yours.
Okay, I picked this up at a garage sale 3 Easters ago. I only paid $1. I think it could be homemade. Say when they put some little Easter eggs in there. It's still sitting. I just lowered the price. This Easter, he needs to go to his forever home. It's a haul and mold, so I thought it had to be worth a lot of money, but I think I have it at, $19 now.
Yep.
So sometimes I think I priced too high, but no one's made me an offer. It's had a lot of views, but I think he's cute. So he's my dud for right now until somebody picks him up.
He's your dud.
And this was a dud in my profit pile. Creative memory. I've done really well finding creative memory. Well, I found all this whole big old stack for $3, and I went through it, and what I discovered, I thought there were going to be stickers and pages and whatever they do, but these tutors are like, there's 5 copies of the exact same thing in each one. So it's for when the person does a class, everybody gets a brochure. And I'm like, no one wants to buy 5 of the same thing. All this is old. It's going back to the thrift store. It's a dud.
All right, my first dud, and they actually didn't sell for $14.99. They sold for $12. I thought these vintage canning jar lids would go quicker or for more. And I finally got a $12 offer, and they've been up for probably a year or so. They're gone. I paid, I think, $3 for them.
Oh,
so
well.
not horrendous, but I expected a lot more. And this one, I paid $1 for the CD. I sold it for 10, so that that's a fine little profit margin. And how I listed this without noticing this, Deb, I have no clue. But the album is called "The Girl on the Sunny Shore" by Uncle Walt. All right, and when I went to ship it, there was this autographed piece of paper to Becky.
No!
You are the girl on the sunny shore. Love, Walter Hyatt. And I somehow missed that when I was listing it. So had I had seen that, I would have listed it for more than $10. But someone got a nice CD for $10, and they got a sweet little bonus of the guy's autograph. So,
uh-oh, is this where I get to call you Goober?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I went to ship it, because I can't list a CD without giving it a condition, and to give it a condition, you have to look it over. How I did not notice this, I have not a clue.
Well, that just proves that it happens to all of us.
Oh yeah, so I hope the customer is like, oh, what a fun bonus.
Yeah.
I hope I have a customer for life now.
Was their name Becky, the buyer?
I didn't even notice. I was just so shocked I missed that.
Oh, that would be...
All right, so now where in the world did our stuff go? If you are not shipping internationally, you are leaving out 7.3 billion with a B potential customers. Now, someone tried to call me on that from last week's episode and said, well, only 4.1 billion have internet access. I said potential. I have always said potential, because those other 3 billion might know someone who knows someone who has the internet. So if you're not shipping internationally, you're leaving out 7.3 billion potential customers. Unfortunately, Debbie, again, no international sales. But this one, the one I got, is like, it's going to make you scratch your head. Of all the stuff that we have shipped internationally, this one just makes no sense. It is a vintage Cal State Sacramento Ziggy t-shirt going to Bad Homburg, Germany, which is right outside of Frankfurt.
It could be military. Remember, we have military bases all over the world.
Oh, true. But I picked up this vintage is it one of those 50/50s made in the USA, late 80s, great shape. And I'm like, someone who went to Cal State Sacramento and loves Ziggy would love this. I did not expect it to go to Germany, but it is off and running to Germany.
Cool. I like what it says. When in doubt, change your motor.
Change your major.
Change your major. I can't read.
Change your motor. Get your motor changed.
Yeah. Change your oil.
All right, now it's time for our Thrifty tips of the week. Little tips and tricks to help you when you're out and about sourcing. Oops, there we go.
This tip comes from my awesome husband, Bill. The Thrifting board, which is fast coming on 54,000 members, there's a Pinterest sharing group in there. So we share for each other. And Bill noticed that while he's doing our pinning, he's looking at each item going, wow, these are bolos. He's learning things to look for. So I just happened to grab a screenshot. Well, look what I got. This is a, what do you call that? I forget what it's called. Anyway, $949 for a piece of clothing that goes over you. And then this Age of Mythology sealed PC, I'm not sure exactly what it is, figurines, maybe $150. Now, these aren't sold, but this is what the people are asking for that pinned this to the group. $26 for vintage Coca-Cola Christmas wrap. So as you're pinning, pay attention to what you're pinning and see if, start doing a mental memory bank to remember to look for some of this stuff. And it does help when you pin. It does.
Caftan. Was that the word you were looking for?
Well, no, I guess I was thinking something else. Something about cafe and Capri put together. I don't know, but
Mrs. Roper Caftan.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. So yeah, pinning. We pinned something and it sold with 12 hours later. So join the thrifting board. Join the social media, Pinterest sharing. And if you don't know how, there's files and we'll teach you. Everybody will help you do it. It's very fun.
All right, so I shipped these today for $40. Now, we have always taught you to look for a Levi's silver tab baggie in the jeans section, but now I'm going to teach you to go look in the pants section, because these weren't silver tab jeans. These were actually silver tab khaki pants.
Nice.
So pick those up for $4.99, and they're just, there's nothing really to them. They're just khakis.
That's a great
they're not
price.
denim at all, and they were $40, and away they went. So, excuse me, silver tabs come in shorts, overalls, jeans, and khakis and corduroys too. So you got to look at all the pants section for Levi's silver tabs.
Nice. And remember, it's summer somewhere in the world right now. Not everybody's a snowed in.
Very true. Very true. All right. But there it is. Time for You Have Got to Be Shipping Me. Little tips and tricks, what to do and what not to do when it comes to shipping.
Yes.
Come on, little computer. Getting the spinning wheel of death. There we go.
Any snow yet out your window?
Let me check.
5:21.
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Alrighty. This was a recent conversation in the thrifting board. Jason, have you ever mixed up 2 packages and sent them to the wrong buyers?
Almost did it today. Oh,
really?
It dawned on me at the last second. I was putting the wrong thing in the wrong package.
Oh, wow.
But yes, I have, and I almost came to fruition today.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I have 2 years ago. I think I've done it twice, many years ago with my books. But what that taught me was I do not seal the package until I have the shipping label in my hand. I can match it up with the invoice. These are 2 different that we shipped out today. So I got the invoice. Don't seal the box until you have the packing slip in your hand. I mean, the postage label. Then I can line it up with my invoice and make sure it's going to the right buyer. So just kind of show you if you're doing a whole bunch, we do one at a time. You know, we get them all boxed and invoice and everything, but then we label them so you can verify and just take your time and slow down because it's a pain. I've had the buyers ship them to each other, or you got to have them ship it back. So just slow down and double check what you're doing.
And mine is piggybacking off of yours tonight because I saw you had your invoices, but they were kind of on the generic side. So I actually added my store logo to my invoice, and it's been cut off here. But down below, there's also a little personalized note saying, check back often as I'm always adding new stuff to my store.
Nice.
Although it's snowing probably where you're at, spring is right around the corner. Grab a fresh Hawaiian shirt. And so with that note, if you've never actually personalized the invoices, tomorrow, special day and time of selling past your expiration date, being Thrifty Over 50 with me and my mom, I'm going to teach you all about how to personalize the invoice you stick in your package. And
perfect.
If you don't print out an invoice, I recommend you do. People like that little personal touch. I also hand sign each one of them. But we're going to be on tomorrow at 11 a.m. West Coast, 2 p.m. East Coast. I'll be in Chicago on Sunday, so we can't do a Sunday show, but we wanted to do a show since we missed last week. So tune in and we'll go over that, plus Mom's scores, her haul. And if you've not watched the show before, I always share an embarrassing and or cute photo of me as a kid or a teenager. And my mom has these great photos of her in the 60s wearing all kinds of awesome fashion. So we always share a fun photo of each, me and my mom. So tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. West Coast, 2 p.m. East Coast.
Great topic. Now, I don't have a color printer, so maybe black and white, my logo probably.
You got a dot matrix? What's going on there?
I just have a Brother laser printer. I'm cheap.
But it's not color?
No, I was too cheap because then the ink is more expensive.
I didn't even realize they sold printers that weren't color. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's a laser, so it's the, what do you call it? The toner's more affordable than buying a color printer. You got to get all the colors and all that. So, but then maybe I could order some stickers with my logo and slap them on there.
All right, so now it's time for our eBay tips of the week. Little tips and tricks to help you out when selling on eBay. Yes.
Well, you may not be aware that there's an eBay community. Go to community.ebay.com, and a couple different opportunities. There's the eBay community. They have a podcast that you can go, with Griff, because we used to have eBay radio show and that ended. So now they do a podcast, and you're not going to hear it live, but you can go in any time and listen to it. And you can even call in and there'll be a recording. So whenever you call 24/7, you leave your name and what your question is, and you may get a call back because they may want to use it on their show. So I put the directions here on how to get to it. And if you really can't find it, just Google Selling on eBay podcast. It pops up. If you're on the eBay community page, I put a red arrow. Oh, I kind of lowered it too low, but there's a spot there. It says podcasts. They also have a weekly chat with eBay staff each week in the same eBay community area. So you can participate in that, ask your questions, leave comments, because they love to hear from sellers, what's working, what's not working. And then they also have the Facebook eBay for Business Facebook page has a weekly chat on, I think it's on Wednesdays at 12:30. That's about a half hour, and it's with Griff, Audrey, different guests, and they have a live chat going on at the same time. So you can put a question in, they might pick your question and answer it live on the air. So there's a lot of opportunities to engage with eBay executives, with the staff. It's kind of fun to hear what's going on. So check out the community on eBay. You have to be signed into your eBay account. So that's fun.
Nice little graphic, Deb.
Thank you. It took me a long time.
All right. So, I've given this tip a million times, but since it came to fruition again this week, I thought I'd give it again. I had 2 copies of a very special Christmas 3 CD set sealed for sale before Christmas. And guess what? They didn't sell Christmas, but guess what? They both sold this week to the same person.
Nice.
So kind of like I said, someone bought the same book and you said, no, silly. Someone did buy 2 of the same CD and they paid $25 each. I bought these new and sealed from a record store in LA and I paid $3.99 each. I paid $8 and I sold them for $50 and off to the same customer. So
Nice.
Don't stop listing Christmas stuff. Someone at the thrifting board today was so excited and shocked that they listed a Christmas ornament and it sold within a couple hours. And they weren't even going to list it because they're like, Christmas is over and people will buy Christmas stuff all year round. So I turned $8 into $50, and it was, like I said, it was listed well before Christmas and didn't sell till the week after Valentine's Day. So go figure. You never know when something's going to sell, but always keep it up there. And I see Ginny from Yes Virginia. It's always Christmas on eBay in the chat, and she's very excited that I was talking about Christmas stuff.
Oh yeah, I always find one of the 3 of that CD. I never find the whole set, so I know there's 3 different parts, and I think they're all 3 different colors. Maybe there's a red one and a gold one, but I'll keep looking.
Yep. All right, so those of you in the Secret Beach, my monthly webinar is going to be a little offshoot of the CD webinar, and it's going to be your printable, downloadable shopping list for when you go into record stores, all the out-of-print CDs in alphabetical order by section. And I know some of you are visual learners, so yeah, a list is great to take out. But if you've never seen what you're looking for, it still might be a little tricky. So I thought, okay, I'll make a webinar out of it. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a slide for each item on the list, the artist, the group, the title, and a little tidbit to why you're supposed to be finding that CD. So we're doing that Wednesday night, the 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. West Coast. So Secret Beach members, be ready for your next webinar.
That's going to be awesome because I'm so visual. Being able to
That's what I figured, Deb. I wasn't going to do it that way, but I'm like, all right, people need to see it. I know them already, so I don't, I tend to forget. Not everyone has my brain, so.
Yeah, sometimes it's a good thing.
Yeah. So let's tell us about our guest for next week.
Okay, I think you know her. She is a tiki collector person.
Yes.
She sold on eBay back in the 90s, and then she quit for a long time. And so she would thrift for her own collection and her tiki edition. So she decided to start selling on eBay just like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I thought it would be fun to bring on once in a while some newer sellers, look through their store. So we're going to go through her listings, give her any tips, is she using her item specifics, that kind of thing. And then she can ask us questions because whatever she's learning is going to help seasoned sellers and new sellers too. So we're going to be picking some newer sellers and seeing, how we can help them and what would they need to change up in their store, because we want everybody to be successful.
Heck yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun.
And last but not least, those of you in the Secret Beach, if you haven't seen it yet, we've announced the Secret Beach Cruise #2. We're off to Mexico this time, the Mexican Riviera. So head over there, get signed up. We just need your deposits within the next month or so. And you have, longer time to pay for the whole thing. But what we do is we're cruising for a week this time. And during the days at sea, we're going to take part of those days and do some classes. But we won't take up the whole day, so we can go out and play in the pool and the water slides and drink rum on the deck and stuff like that. So it's going to be awesome. So get signed up. And I know I just dropped it on you without a lot of info. I will have more info, and I'll start doing some weekly hangouts and talking about it. So those of you who didn't do it last time will get to understand what we're doing and feel comfortable doing it. But this is the crew from last year. We had a blast, and I hope to have the same size crew again this year.
Oh, I hope it's bigger. I almost wore my Secret Beach cruising shirt on the show tonight. It's so fun looking at John Lawson, Eric Reed, Linda Pacheco, all our friends that are there. Alan Cohen, who cruises a lot, somebody was asking, we're going to be learning on the show. He said he learned so much, tons, he said, just by hanging out. We have all night. We could be up all night talking if we want.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great opportunity to learn.
All right, let's perfect timing. Let's get our guest in here. Oops, not me. I almost turned on my other camera. All right, why?
Technical difficulties.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I didn't click the actual button. Okay. Not the gong. Go away, gong. I meant doorbell. Now I'm coughing. Sorry, everybody. Hello, Dominic. How are you, sir?
Hey, glad to be back.
I'm still enjoying this. What was that? Cerebral fluid? What was that?
Cerebral spinal fluid. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's so yummy in my belly.
Yeah, good old CSF on the rocks.
Is that what you serve in your home bar?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dominic is on for a couple of reasons, and let's find out. Give us your quick little bio. Where are you located? Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you have pets?
Yeah, big dog lover. I have a new little dog, actually, Daisy. She's a Shih Tzu. She actually has her own Instagram account, which is crazy. At Miss_Daisy_Wobble, and that's MISS. So if anyone wants to go follow my crazy dog, she's a year old. She's cool. We've always had dogs. I do have 2 kids, ages 13 and 14. I am married. My wife is jokingly referred to as Mrs. Primetime because I'm the primetime treasure hunter on YouTube. And it's interesting. I didn't think about this until tonight, but we asked me before what I do full time for a job, and I said I was a board certified clinical neuropsychologist, and I kind of feel like a superhero in a way since I sell comic books as something I specialize in. You think of a lot of the comic book characters that have alter egos, like Peter Parker is a photographer by day, and then he's a superhero by night, and Clark Kent is a reporter, and then he's a superhero by night. So I feel like that too, because I'm a neuropsychologist during the day, and then I come home, and I don't just sell comic books, but I specialize in that. But I sell all things vintage and collectibles. I even dabble in some clothes and things like that. But comics is my passion. I'm active on social media. I have my own YouTube channel, Primetime Treasure Hunter, and I have a Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and I'm also on Instagram at prime_time_treasure.
Nice.
I think you need to make the green in your logo on YouTube a little bit brighter.
Yeah, Mrs. Primetime is not happy with that. It reminds me of the old 60s Batman show with the POW signs that would come out. It's just way too bright. So you're right. I have to definitely change
I like it. I like it.
I like it because it's half of the Seahawks colors.
Oh, shut up. Shut up. All right, so let's back up now a little bit. So what brought you to selling things online, specifically on eBay?
Well, I was in graduate school in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, went to Nova Southeastern University, and when my wife and I moved down there, we weren't married at the time, but a few years after that we were. And there was this big giant flea market in South Florida called the Swap Shop, and we would go down there, and this is the days before there were any apps, so you couldn't check comps. You needed to just take a chance on stuff. And so we would take a chance on stuff, and this is a few years after eBay started. So this is 2000 is when my eBay count dates back to. And we would just take stuff and buy it, bring it home. We'd come back with bags and bags of stuff, and we'd have duds, but we'd also have, big scores. And this is when eBay was just an auction only site. There was no such thing as buy it now. So a lot of times you just got, you know, kind of stiffed at the end with something that didn't sell. You were hoping at the end it was going to get run up, but it didn't. But, you know, so that's more modern times in terms of when I started. But really, if I think back to it, I actually started selling when I was a teenager. I would sell my comic books. I'd go down with my friends. We'd wake up like 6 in the morning. We'd set up at the Englishtown auction in New Jersey, and it was like a big outdoor flea market. And we just sit there all day and resell some of our comics. So really, it dates back to teenage years for me.
Yep, that's nice.
Hey, that swap meet in Florida, was that the one in Lauderdale with a circus, or is that a different one?
It's near Fort Lauderdale. I think they actually do have some circus stuff near it.
Yeah, so on the inside, there's whole circus acts.
Yeah, it's indoor, outdoor.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Flea market and circus.
Yeah, it is a blast.
So yeah, so you're kind of like me. I wasn't selling back in the day, but I was definitely buying. I learned the value of, hey, I can have more toys than new toys. I'll take it. You know, going to the flea markets and stuff and buying. And so how well did you do selling when you were in school on eBay?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, you know, for us back then, you know, if we bought like I remember one time I bought a carafe that had the Peanuts characters on it. I got it for $1, and then it sold for, you know, $60. And for us, that was huge. We were like, wow, it was amazing. And so we're like, you know, once you make that first, once you make that first sale like that, when you buy something low for $1 or so and you flip it even for $50, $60, you get hooked if you have it in your blood. And, you know, we do. And that's one of the things my wife and I have in common. We love doing the treasure hunting. And I do I do metal detecting and stuff. So I've always just loved treasure hunting. So, you know, that type of stuff is what hooked me early on.
Yes, me too.
Can you imagine when we went to college and we were able to sell online? I would have had to work at Domino's, and it'd have been so much better.
I didn't go to college, so I missed all that.
I went for a year, so you know. So how long were you in college to become a neuropsychologist altogether?
Oh my gosh. It was like forever, because first of all, I had to do my undergraduate work here, and I didn't mention this. I'm in Syracuse, New York now, and where I went to college at Lemoyne College, which was a Jesuit school in Syracuse. So I went there, and then I moved from there in '98 to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and so I was there for 4 or 5 years. Then what happens is you get matched to an internship, and you don't really have total control over where you're going. So the next thing I know, I'm in Oklahoma City for a year.
Oh.
And yeah, so that was an interesting experience. And then my wife really and so did I. We wanted to move back east, and so it was time to do what they call a 2-year postdoctoral fellowship. And that's not really school, but it's training you have to do. It's clinical work. That's 2 years. So when you add it all together, I mean, 4 years of college, 5 years of graduate school, plus the internship, plus 2 years of the postdoc. I mean, that's like 11 years of school and training. It's crazy.
That's almost like kindergarten to 12th grade. You know?
Yeah. Right. It's like doing it all over. You wonder if it's ever going to end.
But you don't have to operate, right? You don't have to cut.
I do not know. I'm not an MD. I have a PhD. So I don't prescribe medications, although there are some psychologists have training to do that, but no, not here. It's I do assessment of patients who have brain injury and suspected or known brain disease, and I evaluate them in terms of assessing their cognitive, their thinking skills, their emotional functioning. I do diagnose things like Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that. I see kids, adults, older people. So it's a very interesting area.
So do any of your friends ever wonder if you're talking with them and you're analyzing them?
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing is, like, I'll be in a conversation with somebody and what would otherwise be a normal conversation, and someone will say, "Don't analyze me." I'm like, I'm not analyzing you. I'm just, or like, I'll be with relatives, and we have a lot of new kids in the family, and I'll be like looking at them as they're walking or playing with toys, and they're like, "Don't analyze my kid." And I joke, I'm like, I'm going to send a full report by the end of the day.
So do you use those skills when you're negotiating, when you're buying stuff?
Totally. I have a whole section on my YouTube channel on the psychology of negotiation. And I use a lot of psychological strategies with people, during the negotiation process, and to help figure out whether, I'll give you an example. I mean, sometimes you could just tell, like, if someone makes an offer on something. Now, let's say someone wants these 2 He-Man figures that I have, right? Now, they'll actually make a low offer to me, and then maybe I'll make a counter offer, and then they make even, they don't go up too much. They act like they don't want it, yet their name is Skeletor 52. So like, oh, you're not going to trick me on that one. I know that you really want this, and so I'll stand firm and I make the deal. Like, stuff like that. I have all sorts of videos on that stuff.
That's awesome, and you're right. My handle's always Tiki something, so that gives me away.
Yeah. So some people have a secret account, so they could go in and they buy stuff with just a very generic name. Yeah.
So do you wear a lab coat during the day? You wear a white coat?
No, I don't where I work, because I work in outpatient center, but I used to work in inpatient settings. I used to work in neuro ICUs. I would evaluate patients that were in comas, and in the more medical units when you're inpatient, it is actually something we would do is we would wear white lab coats around and stuff like that, which is cool. People like that, and it's interesting when you wear a uniform, no matter what it is, people give you respect when you wear a uniform. It's like a police officer. And it's funny, I've had so many different jobs. I used to work as a bouncer. That's actually where I met my wife. I'm the world's only neuropsychologist bouncer. Nice. And when you wear the bouncer shirt, people look at you differently than if you're just a regular person walking around. So it's funny psychologically how it works.
All right. So since you brought that up, how tall are you?
I'm 6'6". My wife is going to roll her eyes if she's watching this, because I say this all the time. I'm 6'6", 250 pounds. So I'm pretty big if you saw me in person.
And
how big are you, Jason?
Is she tall or short?
She's tall for, she's 5'7", so
okay.
she it doesn't look strange. Like there's another neuropsychologist I know, we joke, he's like 5 foot tall, and we actually took a picture standing next to each other mimicking the cover of Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's hilarious.
So you met your wife while you're bouncing at a bar, right?
Yeah, but for anyone who's from New Jersey, they'll know the bar Anticipation in Belmar on New Year's Eve of let's see, it was 98, and then we got married 2 years later, New Year's Eve, going into the millennium.
Nice.
So I'm 6'5", 270,
and
I met my wife at my dad's bar.
Okay.
In August of 90. So
wow,
love can be found in a bar, even when one of you is working.
yeah, absolutely.
How tall is Stacy?
But Stacy's short. Stacy's like barely, like she's 5 3/4.
Okay, that's right. Because I'm barely 5'2".
Yeah, well, my wife, we look normal together for the, usually, but there's this one weird picture we have, which I don't have it now, but she's holding my hand, and like it looks like King Kong holding Fay Ray's hand. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just the angle of the picture is so crazy.
Please, when we walk, like we're walking in a mall or someplace that like a big mirror shows up, and we see each other, I'm like, oh, do we always look this ridiculous? Because we've been together for 28 years. And so in our heads, we're almost the same size.
Okay, right.
But of course, she's 5 foot, I'm 6, we're not. But, we've been together so long, it seems the same thing. So, yeah, when I saw that in your notes, I'm like, oh, someone else who met their wife in a bar. How nice. Now, here's a real question. Were you throwing her out because she was rowdy?
No, very nice. No, here's the funny thing about this story real quick is that it was New Year's Eve, and so I wanted to stand on the stage because that's where you meet all the girls, is on the stage. And my boss called me early, like 8:30, and he said, hey, I need you to come in because it's a $35 cover, and I don't want anyone sneaking through the front door. So I was furious. And he told me, he said, you know what, don't worry, you'll meet someone tonight. And sure enough, my wife saw me walk in. I didn't see her when I walked in, but she saw me and came up to me later. She wasn't supposed to go that night. One of those, if you believe in fate, it was one of those kind of things, and just worked out. It was weird.
That's a cool Valentine's month story.
Absolutely.
My wife is in the chat going, I'm 5'1", and she knows she's 5 foot 3/4. So
she can round up.
Some people are asking how to find my videos. I don't know if you guys have a link or anything, but you could just put it's Primetime Treasure Hunter.
There it is, right there. Yep. So there it is, right there. So just head over to YouTube. Well, you're in YouTube. So when we're done, just type in Primetime Treasure Hunter. Look for that bright neon green. Boom.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Now, and that'll lead us right into what we're going to talk about next is comic books. And I watched your most recent comic book haul, and I was enthralled because I was a comic book reader from when I was a kid, and I've done some dabbling and selling, not to your extent for sure, but watching you go through that collection, and man, it was just bringing back childhood memories. I'm like, holy crap, so much fun. And then you're like, and then there'll be a part 2 because I got to go to bed because it's midnight. And I'm like, oh, where's this part 2, man? Come on now. So I'm assuming you started reading comic books when you were a kid.
Yeah. So the funny thing about that is because a lot of people comment on behind me, you see Castle Grayskull from He-Man. And it's interesting because I was thinking back to this a while ago. I was like, what was the first comic book I ever read? And I figured it out. It was when my parents actually bought me a He-Man character. If you remember, when these figures came out, in the back of the container, there was a mini comic book that it came with. And I remember sitting there reading it and loving the comic book and loving the toy. And then each toy had its own comic book. And they're real tiny ones. And that's what got me into it. And then when I saw the bigger ones, like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, all that stuff, that was like, by that point, I was like third grade-ish. I just started buying them. And back in the day, they were, only, for me, only 75 cents. So, you could buy them for pretty cheap. If I worked at the convenience store where they sold the comic books, if I made $5 an hour, I was pumped up. I could buy 5-6 comics. But nowadays a single comic book will run you $2.99, $3.99. It's crazy.
Yep. Price has gone up.
Yeah.
And so that became the first, you said you were selling them at the flea market back then. And now, although you said you sell other things, I sell other things too. Debbie sells other things besides books, but she sells a ton of books because that's her specialty. Mine CDs and yours is comic books. How many do you think you're going through in a year, moving in and out?
Thousands. I mean, like right below me right now, like below this table, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 long boxes of comics, and that's just a small section. And each of those fit about 300 comic books to, maybe 400 if they don't have the bags and boards on them. So like, there's just thousands right here. That's just a small part. Yeah.
But are those all listed? Or
No, they're not all listed because I just have so many that I just go through them in different chunks. Plus, I sell other things besides comic books, so I kind of go in and out. But I always say you will never come to my eBay store and not find comic books there because you have to have a core, and for me that's my core, and I always have to relate back to that. And if I have a time where maybe sales are slow because I'm focusing on something I don't normally do too much, like if I get a bunch of beer taps like this and start selling them,
nice,
and they eventually sell, but it might take a while. And I say, what? I got to get back to the comics. And so I go back to my core, what I know best. That's a tip I'd also. People are asking me if I sell them in a bundle or individually. It completely depends on the book. Sometimes it makes sense to sell them individually and you'll make a real nice turnaround. Other times you have to bundle them to get a good value out of them.
Chris, I wonder if my brother's bought any. He's been buying a lot of comic books lately. Now he wants to sell off his whole set, but I'm gonna have to ask him if he's bought any from you.
He may have, you don't know, but and Jason, actually, to tie into something you said earlier about international shipping, super important. I completely agree with you. You need to be selling internationally. Like, for example, and someone's asking me my store name. It's Primetime Treasure, but on eBay. But this here, I could actually show you this. It's not too racy. There's no nudity in it, but this is Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose. Now, most of these books they'll have nudity inside of it. It's like a fantasy type book, but it's very popular in the States, but also internationally. The last 3 batches of it that I sold, because people are buying them in multiple, all sold to international people. One person $120, another person $60, another person today just bought an individual one for $20. So yeah, so if I didn't have the international option open, I wouldn't have made those sales right then and there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Debbie's husband Bill says I've been approached to help sell 6,500 comic collection ideas, tips.
That would be
I'm
my
assuming,
brother.
like CDs, you got to go through the whole collection, because if there's $1,000 book in there, you got to get it out and sell it by itself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's right. And you know, that's what comic book stores will do. If you bring in a collection to them, they're going to go through it. They're going to pick out all the great books, they cherry pick them all out. They'll list them on eBay or they'll put them up in their store. And then the rest of the books, they're going to take and sell them for $1 a piece or $2 a piece, or maybe 3 for $1, just depends. And that's how they'll blow the rest of them out. Because most of them that they'll, get from, the average collection that comes in, there'll be a few things in there worth a lot, but most of it won't be.
Nice.
So
yeah, he taught me to look for 10 cents. The sale price, if it's 10 cents, that's a vintage one.
I would say 10 cents, or like you see here, this is a 12-cent issue. This is the first Mariner. It's a successive a volume, a later volume of it, but it's a first issue. And these are from what's called the Silver Age. So what you were talking about are the Golden Age books, the ones from like the late 1930s or early 1930s to 1950. Those would be those Golden Age books with the 10-cent covers on them.
Okay.
So yeah, if you see those, the 10-cent covers, you should pick them up. Anything that 12 cents on it, pick it up. They're not always valuable, but it's definitely worth picking up. Someone will be interested in them.
Okay. I've heard that the 1980s aren't really worth much. There's always an exception.
Yeah, that's actually not true. The 1980s books are generally valuable at this point. Okay. A lot of people going back into that era. Some people call that era from 1984 to 1991 the Copper Age of comic book collecting. For example, there's a series of books called, and I have some right here. It's called, these are from the 1980s. It's called Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, which you could see over here. And if you ever find them, even if you just find one, this is a 12-part series. Pick them up. If you find all 12, I routinely sell them for about $150, $135. But there are people who just need one to complete that collection, and so they'll wind up getting that. If there's any one of them you want to pick up from this, it's number 8. Because that's Spider-Man in his black suit, his alien costume. It's very, very popular book to get.
Nice.
Where you really will start running the risk of books that aren't worth a lot is actually the 1990s for the most part, because that's when the comic book industry almost collapsed, because they were overproducing books just like they were doing with baseball cards, and they made so many of them that everyone started buying them thinking if they hoarded them up that they were going to be worth a lot of money in the future. And turns out 10, 20 years later, everyone's stuck with all these comic books like The Death of Superman. There's like 8 billion copies of it, and it's not worth anything.
Oh, that's good. That is so good to know.
Yeah.
So when you ship a comic book, what's the best way to ship a comic book?
There's different opinions on that. Now, some people will tell you to always ship it in a box because that will give you maximal protection. But if you put it in the box poorly, that's not going to really work. I have videos on my channel about how to do it. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to take a book like this and you are going to sandwich it between 2 thick layers. I can't emphasize that enough. Thick layers of cardboard, and then you are going to tape around it. You're going to make sure that none of this is jutting out through the cardboard, and so you're going to seal up all your gaps. You just put it in a regular manila envelope, stamp it, do not bend, and I have sold thousands of comic books like that, and they do not get damaged.
Awesome.
Yep.
There you go. All right, let's I usually show the guest scores first and then the duds, but I think I'm going to go the other way tonight. I'm going to show the duds first. Yeah, Deadpool is so, although I love him, Deadpool is so merchandise to death.
Yeah.
Finding stuff just really.
Yeah. So Deadpool can be popular. I mean, but that's a very, like you said, overproduced Deadpool shirt that you have up there. And I thought because it was Deadpool that it would sell for more than that, but I believe it only sold for $7.99. That was not a good one. Right.
And this Stripperella coming soon poster.
Same thing. So now what I'm going to tell you is generally true that if you buy books like the one that I showed earlier with Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, or if you buy ones with Cave Woman on it is another popular one, or Lady Death. These are all women with, their made with these accentuated, perfect bodies, and they have all these superpowers, and there's usually some nudity in it. Sometimes, you know, you might even get something more innocent like this. This is actually Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. This is worth right now about $60, this one comic book. But so generally, sex sells in comic books, or sexiness sells in comic books. And so that's why I picked up that Stripperella poster. That's not a comic, it's a poster. And I thought it would sell. I was shocked that it didn't move.
Well, even the experts get duds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
All right, now this Batman looks a little beat up.
Yeah.
Wow.
That one is really beat up, but that's a good example of how even if you have an old comic book like that that's destroyed pretty much, well, when I say destroyed, the cover's pretty bad in terms of there being tears in it, especially in the back. But the important thing about it is it's a complete story. I found it buried in the bottom of an old barn in just some old box with like a bunch of, yeah, you can see that back's really bad. But despite that, because it was a complete story, because it's so rare, that's the thing. It's hard to still find that book. So, and it has the Joker in it. And so I emphasize all those things: complete story, Joker, all that stuff. The cover was still technically on it.
Technically,
technically, it was barely hanging on there, but it still sold for a pretty decent nickel, considering I got it for like $1 for the whole collection. It was just thrown in with a bunch of Roy Rogers and Gene Autry's and that type of stuff.
Yeah, $170. I'll take it.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a single comic. Here is a couple Wolverines.
Yeah. So Wolverine, a very popular character in the this is one thing that was good in the 1980s, 1990s. Some of these anti-hero type of characters started coming out, like Wolverine. So, he's good, but then he also has like an edge to him. So he's, people who kind of relate to that and they like that. He's not pure good like Superman or Spider-Man. They like that. So those early Wolverine comics, again, if you could source them low and you get these in these big collections and you pull them out, this is how you're making your money back pretty quick, is with sales like this.
Nice.
And from the time I put this together for tonight's show, the bids went up on this. I think it was like at $19 this morning when I was putting the show together.
Well, the one you have there should be the one that I sold. The one, because I did sell this. I don't have this one active right now on my account, so I'm not sure.
Oh, did I grab the wrong one somehow?
Yeah, that's someone else's. It's a different user.
But there was one there. Yeah. Yeah.
So how much did yours sell for? Oh my.
It's there.
All right, so talk about this, and I'll find.
Yeah, that one right there. Hold on, let me click on that. See that one right there. Okay, yeah. So this is a lot of old Daredevil comic books right there. I just found them as part of a big collection that I purchased. Now, this actually was my Make My Money Back book. So I bought a whole giant collection for $300, and this was the part in there that I said I really just need to make my money back with these. And so I got most of it back, sold it for $264. These are, I believe, Silver Age comic books, maybe some Bronze Age in there, which is Bronze Age is 71 to 85, but I think it's silver. So anyway, but those old Daredevil comic books, when you get to those beginning issues, again, hard to find, and especially if you could lot to make them together and have some successive issues, people like to buy those. I have some continuity in the run. That is another thing that will help you in terms of a selling point.
Nice.
Okay, this is much better now. Yours sold for $210.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So sorry.
Yeah, right. Now the reason, and I have another one of these actually here, is for people who are not familiar with comic books, you'll notice that looks different because it says 9.6 on it. Another one says 9.2. Those comic books are actually graded comic books. So what you could do is you could take your book and you could send them into a company. The most popular one is CGC. That's why you see it says that up there. And they'll actually grade your book for a fee, of course, and then they'll send it back to you. And if you get a good rating, anywhere in the 9s for most books are what you're looking for. People like to basically take these, like this one right here. You can see this is the first Doctor Who. This one's worth about $100 from the 1980s because it came back with a pretty good grade, a 9.6. But you would not believe, Jason and Debbie, the difference sometimes in price between a 9.6 and a 9.8. Everyone wants the 9.8. It's almost impossible to get a 10. Everyone wants to display the trophy of I have the 9.8. It literally could be a difference of thousands of dollars between them.
No way.
Absolutely. Yep, it's crazy.
Does it cost you a lot to get them graded?
Depends on the book and how much it's worth. They ask you for your books to estimate the worth of it, but they'll call you on it if you try to play games with them. So
sure.
normally, if it's like worth $0 to $100, you pay like 15, 20 bucks, but there's also price that depends on how quick do you want it back, because normally the turnaround time is 60 days, 30 days. So if you want it faster, you got to pay more to expedite it. But if you have a book that's worth $10,000, $20,000, then you got to pay them 3% of the value. So it could really get up there in terms of what you have to pay for it. But it could also, there's a huge difference sometimes, not always, but there can be a very big difference between what a graded comic book will go for and a non-graded comic book will go for.
Oh, I'm sure. Just like baseball cards.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, if you don't mind, I could show you something I think your viewers would be interested in about grading versus non-grading. This book right here is Amazing Spider-Man 138, and it's got the Hobgoblin in it, very important issue, a first appearance. And in the back of it, there are these little tattoos, and often the tattoos of the book have been ripped out. If you find it with the tattoos in it, it's worth way more money than if you do not have the tattoos. And you see right back here in the book, there's this little flap, and this little flap here has the tattoos inside of it. And so if you find those tattoos, you are in the money. You actually search for it, you will see that people will put has the tattoos, and they call them tattoos, T-A-T-O-O-Z. Now, here's the thing. This book, I think, is in near mint condition. But if I send it to CGC and they give me a rating of 9.8 on it, I could sell it for well over $1,000. If they rated a 9.6, it's going to bring it down to around $450. If I just try to sell it like it is now, I'll get around $300 to $350 out of it. So this is the things you have to think of when you have these. Do I take the risk that I'm going to get a 9.8 and spend $50, $60, $70 on it? And then what if it comes back a 9.6 or a 9.4? I would have wished I just didn't even send it in and waste the 60 days.
What a gamble. Wow.
Yeah. So there's all these different factors that come into play.
Someone has a question. Is there still a minimum of sending them 20 books to get them graded?
No. I've sent them one book, and that's changed. No.
All right. And although we've been talking about comics, let's end on this because, woo!
Wow.
Woo!
Right. So here's a funny story about this, okay? So true story. So one of the ways I source is I put ads on Craigslist that say what I'm looking for. I have one for comic books, I have one for Funko Pops, and I have one that says I'm looking for partial estate contents, so I could get into the estate before anybody else.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so I don't have competition like at an estate sale. So a guy contacts me who works for the company Got Junk, and he had been going through all these estates and taking stuff out of it that he thought was valuable after he cleared it out and throwing it into a trailer. Well, his trailer got overfilled, and his wife or fiance was asking him to start clearing it out. So all he wanted to do was liquidate it. Calls me up. We finally make a time. I get over there. I walk in. No joke. There's all these tubbies. The first tubby says Magic the Gathering card. Now, I don't play Magic the Gathering, but I know enough about it that I know if it's old, it's definitely valuable. So this was mostly sealed. It's Magic the Gathering Mirage. It's hard to find. Especially sealed packs. So 8 of the packs I think were sealed, 4 weren't, and it sold for I think $750 or close to that. It was in the 700s. So $849 was the price that I had it listed at, but and I lowered it a little bit over time. But and how much did I get it for? Well, I've got that plus a whole bunch of other Magic the Gathering cards and a ton of other stuff that filled up my trunk. I said to the guy, I said, how much do you want for everything? He goes, just give me $50.
No way.
I said, are you kidding me? I said,
Score.
he's like, yeah. He goes, I don't care. I'm not in this to make money. I just want to liquidate and get the stuff out of here. I'm like, you know what? If you're fine with it, I'm fine with it. So here you go. And that was it. And then I came back again another time and got another 4 truckloads of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That's all the dream of all of us to come across one of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is amazing. All right. Well, there it is. There's our show. We're actually a little bit over.
That was awesome.
That was a quick hour tonight. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I had fun, and I'd love to have you on my channel one day, Jason.
Oh, I'd love to be on. Yeah, like I said, we were talking earlier. I said I love hosting a show, but I like being on the other side every once in a while. I like sitting back and being interviewed, and we didn't even get a chance to talk about Castle Grayskull over your shoulder there. So yeah, I love to talk about nerd out about comic books and stuff like that. Heck yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me on the show, and thank you, Debbie, for the invite. I really had a great time.
Yes. Thank you
All
for
right.
coming on.
Give us a thumbs up down below if you've not subscribed before. Subscribe, and if you're ever subscribing to any channel like Dominic's or mine for the first time, there is a bell. Click on the bell. The bell lets you know when we're going live. So although I do have my normal show set up at usually normal times, every once in a while I'll pop in, do a live here, do a live there, or something, bonus. So click on that bell to let you know we're going live. So that's it, and have a good evening. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. West Coast, 2 p.m. East Coast. My Mom and I show, selling past your expiration date, being thrifty over 50. Dominic, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. But watch your subscribers start climbing, because we're all going to come and look at yours.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Dominic has a fun comic book haul that he just did, and he's going to work on part 2 tonight. So
yeah.
Nice.
If you're into comics, go check it out. And Debbie, thank you very much.
Thank you. Tell your wives hello.
Okay.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye.